You mentioned some numbers earlier. I want to make sure we catch those. So Titan Sports Academy. How many teams do you have? And going, I guess we're in the middle of the season right now.
Yeah.
2025.
So
how many teams?
We have 34 teams organizationally.
Wow.
About 450 kids. Let's see. We have Titan Sports Academy. We'll say that's the umbrella. So under that umbrella, you're going to have work with Ryan Klesko and the Brave Scout team, which is really, really cool.
Okay.
We also have a Ranger Scout team. We have Titans baseball. We have Wahoo's baseball. We also have Stars Fast Pitch. So we've got a couple different, what you would say, franchises under that. And then back to your thing earlier. So 2015, 2016, we buy the land, roughly about 4 acres. And when I walked into the building, it was just an open box. It was a 90 by 90 open box, brick outside, and it was a 2-story building. And I think it was built for churches.
Okay. And
so it became the baseball church. If I had to rename it, I should name it the baseball church.
That's cool.
So, but anyway, walk in and it's all open, and I was like, man, there's windows up there. We should be able to put in a second floor. So I brought in an engineer. He's like, yeah, we could put in a second floor. It'll be a little tricky, blah blah blah. We'll figure it out. So we put in a second floor. We double our square footage, so we have roughly 16,200 square feet inside.
Wow.
Upstairs, we have a 90 by 90 open arena net, so cages kind of pull back. You can take ground balls. And all of the cages, the magic depth, if you're ever doing your own facility, is 70 feet is a magic number. That's what it need to be long. The reason why is that I could put my 60-foot 6 mounds. You can throw bullpens in there, but also you can throw live with pitcher, and that gives you the depth for your home pitcher mound, home plate. Gives you depth enough to have the catcher, and the catcher can be far enough back for a hitter to hit. So 70 feet took me a lot. Again, stupid tax. I spent a lot of time figuring that out. So I'm passing that along. So 70 feet's a magic number. But anyway, we have 5 wide, and you can go live on live, and we can pull all the nets back. And then downstairs, got bathrooms. We have a lobby, and in our lobby, I've got 2 daughters, and so when they were little, you would go to like ballet and dance. And what I noticed, you go to those ballet, those dance places or agility, and they do all the tumbling and stuff. Your parents look through the window. You don't get to come back. You were strictly looking through the window. And I was like, man, as a baseball guy, I admired this because, you would have dad want to sit by the chair right beside the cage, in Johnny's ear. And I was like, Dad, give him a break. I got this. You're paying me for this half hour, not you. So I noticed that. I was like, all right, when I have my own place, there was a lot of things. I've had a lot of those minds and moments in my head. If I have my own place, I'm going to do this. So downstairs, we have a closed circuit TV to cameras upstairs so that the parents can sit in the lobby, watch practice, and not have to go upstairs.
Let's go.
And so my line to everybody, if the parents go upstairs, by the time you get upstairs and lay eyes on your own kid, you've walked by 5 different signs that say you're not supposed to be there.
Love it.
But at any rate, no, it's great. And then so downstairs we have our store, which when you talked about a lot of our brands and where we do all our own spirit wear, we do it for local communities and companies as well as obviously our teams. And then we have 3 more cages downstairs where we do most of our private training. We have Top Velocity, which is a full-on weight room. Just started that, so it's exciting. And so we have all the guns and the trinkets and toys and all the stuff for measurables and that type of thing. And then outside, the field was finished. It's very important you know the date on this. The field was finished July 1st of 2019.
Okay.
And the reason why that was, at that time, we had probably 17 or 18 teams. Well, the reason why that was such a poignant date, if you'll fast forward about 8 months, there was this thing called COVID that started in March of 2020. Mm-hmm. Well, in our world in Atlanta and most places, that most of your travel teams, they use, municipal parks, county parks and rec. Well, everything was shut down. But because our field was private, they couldn't shut us down.
That's right.
So I was able to continue to work with our guys. And so one of the little things that we did during COVID, which she caught the brunt of it as well, is that we would go live on Instagram and we would do basically PE for home, and I had a local CrossFit gym that would program us workouts to do with no weight. And so I would do it, she would do it, and we would invite in a different kid, and we'd do it Monday through Friday. And so people, they would laugh at me. I'm like exhausted, falling down, I'm out of breath, couldn't keep up or whatever. But we did that every day. And so because we had our own field and we had our own indoor, I could still work during COVID because we were a private entity and not using the county parks and rec. Mm-hmm. From that moment forward, we doubled. Yeah, so we doubled. And it was, and to, I had said earlier, it was in that moment I was like, listen, I don't know if all of this is going to be swept away, But if it's going to be swept away, I'm going to make sure that I go down being dedicated to the people that I care about most. And I had a conversation with our staff, and I was like, hey, guys, I got salary for 6-8 weeks. Mm-hmm. After 6-8 weeks, we're done. It is what it is. I said, but I'm going to pay you for 6-8 weeks. But if I'm going to pay you, every day I need somebody to have a drill. I need you to do something, teach kids at home what to do. And so, we did the drill where I remember it yet like yesterday. I was like, put a baseball in your hand, put a sock over your hand, put duct tape around your wrist, and throw the ball in a sock, and you can play catch with yourself. And so like little stuff like that, and throwing balls off the wall and teaching kids how to play wall ball, because a lot of these kids never played wall ball. And some of those things that we went through that process through COVID, and from that, and looking back, there was a lot of things that we did well, a lot of things we've done wrong. But I kind of going back to COVID, I think that was one of the things that people really recognize. All right, these guys are in it for the right reasons.
Dude, I love that story. And that's the first time I'd actually ever heard that story, because a lot of times, today's circumstances define who we are.
Yeah.
And I'm a big believer as a faith-based guy that God doesn't put something on your plate that he doesn't believe you can handle, that, that you're ready for. And, you probably caught some flack for going against the grain during COVID.
I caught a lot of flack. Hey, what are you doing? You're a super spreader. You're going to kill everybody. And to your point is, I was sitting, we were out on the field, and I'd coached a 16-year-old team at the time, and our field's only 220, so it's not that big. But hey, it's outside. You got to take what you got. So we're shooting balls out of a thing called Fungo Man, and it's automating ground balls, and I got people hitting and throwing and all this stuff, and there's nobody in the parking lot, just the kids out on the field, and of course everybody's got their 6 feet of separation, and a patrol car pulls in the parking lot. Oh, my stomach stinks. Oh, goodness. I'm going to be on News 9 tonight in Atlanta. This guy's a super spreader. I'm going to be like burned in effigy. So patrol car pulls up, and I'm like, just go talk to him. I was thinking to myself, I just got to go talk to him. Let's get it over with. If I'm going to get arrested, let's just go quietly, and maybe they can still have a good afternoon. Mm-hmm. So I go over and, hey, sir, how can I help you? He's like, man, I'm just so happy to see people outside. And it was like, had that moment of like, oh, okay. I'm going to be okay today. Mm-hmm. But again, I think in all things, and this is all things in life, if you're doing what you feel is the right thing for people and the people you're surrounded by, if you hurt some people's feelings along the way, then that's just going to have to be the casualties of war. You're just going to have to kind of bear that one.
Chance, just that thing about you is why you're successful.
Well, thank you.
That's it. That's just it. That's why you could have chose anything and you'd win, just because of that being at the root grain of everything that you do, right? Well, it's been, I remember, I was always cheering for you, just because I knew you before Titan Sports Academy. I knew you after. I always loved getting to see you come in. You'd always come up to the press box, say hello to Dad.
Yeah.
Always upbeat, having a good time. Your teams are always very competitive.
Well, thank you.
It was always a cool thing. And then I saw you building that field and knowing what Dad went through to go through that field. And we're in the process of working on some stuff some more here in Nashville. It was just impressive to know how much money you had to raise, and
$325,000.
God, that's a lot of money.
Yeah. And talk about a blessing. I had a guy that donated us the money, and then he basically allowed us to do it like you do a mortgage. He banked it for us, where he put out the money, we built the field. I maybe quite possibly spent the most expensive water quality unit. And when I was going through the process, people were like, why are you spending so much money on a baseball field? And I'm like, it would be a bad investment if I was doing it for 5 years. I'm not doing it for 5 years. I'm doing it for 25. Mm-hmm. And when you have the proper horizons in all things, business included, investments are just that. If it's an expense because it's worth not anything in 5 years, now it really comes down to ROI. Well, now when I'm looking at 25, man, the ROI on this thing's massive.
That's right.
And so where my field sits, so we finished that building of the field in July 1, 2019.
And it's all turf, right?
It's a turf infield, grass outfield. Yep. And again, kind of funny story with that is the one of the builders come to me and he goes, hey, have you looked at doing turf? And I was like, I can't afford it. This guy's already loaning us money. I just can't ask for more. He was like, but when you build an infield, you have to dig down and do all the layers. He's like, if you do turf, it's going to be a little more expensive, not that more. So I said, give me a couple quotes. I went back to my guy. He's like, yeah. And to this guy, talk about a godsend. Just absolutely incredible. Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it right. I have been on that field to probably do maintenance since 2019, maybe 4 times.
Wow.
And it's picking up trash. It is, talk about one of the smarter things that I've done. And I've done a lot of dumb things, but that was definitely one of the smart things. Turf infield, grass outfield, somebody cut the grass. It's been great.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And as far as like, where we're at in the year right now, you guys are knee deep in 2025 season. However, the 2026 season is coming.
Yes,
it's coming. So you guys are about to be filling rosters for the fall of 2025 and the spring of 2026.
Yes, it's coming up fast. June, July is kind of our big time where I think this podcast is going to be kind of hitting the ground there. So TitansNation.net and think of us.
That's right.
And so it's exciting time because as you go through these kind of evolutions of a business owner, as well as just kind of figuring out what, it used to be, I remember we were having a staff meeting just on Monday and I was saying, 3 years ago, I wanted to have 85 or 100 teams. That'd be a lot. But the problem with that comes with, a lot more headache. And then are you really losing kind of the quality of what we're trying to do? And so we've kind of figured out as our kind of the strike zone number that we're trying to hit is about 32 to 34 teams. And that's where we're at. And so what we're looking for is as we start to move forward is really kind of focus on the quality of those teams and go deeper with our players and really help them through that process. And so, as we talk about, we want to build a walkway from T-ball to Major League Baseball. At any point in time, everybody's going to step off of that sidewalk.
Yeah.
100%. 100% of all kids go professional in something other than their sport at some point in time in their life, period, point blank in a discussion. So if we can try to use that sidewalk as a vehicle to teach young people how to be successful at life, boom, rest of it really doesn't matter. And so I don't care if you're playing college baseball or softball. The process in my mind of going through travel baseball and travel softball is a mechanism for us to learn how to win. How to be accountable. Guess what? When you don't pick up the buckets we leave 33 balls in Charleston, South Carolina, you work every one of them back off. And the guys on that team, if they ever seen this, they would know all 33 things that we had to get to do to get those balls back. But you start to learn some life skills that allow for you in today's age, I think that really sets you apart. People make fun of me. Oh, you're 10 minutes early, you're 5 minutes late. That's what we live by. And so when I was running behind, because Central Time and Eastern Time is real, I messed that up. It's on me. Holy cow. You're talking about embarrassment, but it's 10 minutes early or 5 minutes late, and we live by that. There's attention to those details that really start to set people apart and that really allow you to kind of understand who you're about and what you're about. So when it used to be your last name meant something. And so when you didn't keep your word or something happened, well, you just didn't own that as a person. You own that as your family. I think in today's age, you start to think that way. It really starts to set you apart from your peer group and allows you to really be able to rise in a way that, a lot of people just, it's not there now.
I love that.